8.
You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Over the weekend, we lost actor Ron Cephas Jones at the way too young of age of 66 due to a long-standing pulmonary issue. Now, Jones won a couple Emmys for his work on This Is Us. He's been in a ton of movies and television, but most comic fans know him as Bobby Fish from the 2 seasons of Luke Cage on Netflix. Fish was a regular patron at Pops' barbershop, and then when Pops was killed, he continued to help Luke and kind of keep an eye on the shop and do all that. He had the really cool pork pie hat, and he was just a really great actor. He was one of those types that he never was the star. He was always a supporting actor, but he raised the quality of every show he was in. Now, a representative for him put out this statement. Said, beloved and award-winning actor Ron Cephas Jones has passed away at the age of 66 from a long-standing pulmonary issue. Throughout the course of his career, his warmth, beauty, generosity, kindness, and heart were felt by anyone who had the good fortune of knowing him. He began his career at the New Yorkian Poets Cafe, and his love for stage was present throughout his entire career, including his recent Tony-nominated and Drama Desk Award-winning performance for his role in Clyde's on Broadway. Now, again, he was just one of those actors that, just really adds to a show when he's on it. And 66, again, is just way too young. So, all right, let's go from there and stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is Tuesday, August, let's say 22nd? Sure, we'll go with the 22nd. And we got a good lineup today. After this, a little bit after this, will be the new Minute to Skim It, which combines in stores this week with Minute to Skim It. So you get Kyle and Jay joining the Space Cadets crew. And then we have Mint Hunter tonight. So we got a good lineup. You want to stick around for that. We've got Jay on the board. He is back from his vacation. He didn't escape. They actually found him and brought him back. So he's here. I see we've got Ed, Triple B, Sheldon, and Cool here. Good to see you guys. We're going to cover the news, and then we're going to talk about only murders in the building. And then I have some interesting key collectibles to go over. So should be a lot of fun. All right, let's jump into the news. And we got, like I said, quite a bit of it. We start off with Max has renewed and Just Like That for a 3rd season. Hey, Kenneth, good to see you. Now, this, of course, is the spin-off series from the very popular Sex and the City. And the sophomore finale hasn't even happened yet. That's going to appear Thursday night. So they've already renewed it. And the head of Max Content, Sarah Aubrey, put out this statement. She said, we are delighted to share that since the launch of season 2, and Just Like That ranks as the #1 Max original overall and is the most watched returning Max original to date. As we approach the highly anticipated season finale on Thursday, we raise our cosmos to Michael Patrick King and his magnificent team of writers, producers, cast, and crew who continue to charm us 25 years later. With dynamic friendships and engaging stories, we cannot wait for audiences to see where season 3 will take our favorite New Yorkers. Now, the finale is going to be interesting because the one thing that the show hasn't had since its return is the character of Samantha, played by Kim Cattrall. So there's never been a good reason why she wasn't in season 1 or most of season 2, but the character will be appearing in the finale and is supposed to shake things up. So we'll have to see what they have in mind. All right, moving on. James Gunn and Peter Safran, of course, are rebuilding the DCU, and Gunn continues being very respondent on social media. A fan took to Threads, where he seems to like Threads. So if you're looking to follow Gunn and you're not on Threads, you may want to jump in on that one. And they asked him, given any thought to the lay of the land in the DCU? And that's when one of the things that DCU fans have always been curious about is where the different cities, because DC, of course, uses fictional cities. Gotham, Crescent City, Metropolis, Bloodhaven, Central City, Keystone City, Palmyra City, which we just got in Blue Beetle. So where are these supposed to be? Are they actually, it got confusing there at DC for a while when there was a Metropolis and a New York. So somebody asked him if they're going to be making an actual detailed map. And Gunn said, yeah, we are creating an incredibly detailed world map. So I'm hoping they put that out because I'd love to see that kind of solidified. That's the one thing that I didn't like the DC did, is they started off with this idea of having these multiple cities, these fictional cities they made up, but then they started working in real cities and it got real confusing. Jay says, I still hold that Metropolis is a big city in Kansas, or at least that's how I looked in Smallville. It did look that way in Smallville, but that doesn't make a lot of sense because there is no city as big as Metropolis in Kansas. So Ed says, I know she moved to bigger movies and shows. I hear Kim Cattrall and immediately think of Ahu and Porky's. Well, that's old school. No shot DC releases a map. Gunn just likes to talk. I don't know. I'm hoping they do. Also, he was asked about, and I don't know why somebody would ask this question, but the possibility of somebody like Palm Clementif or Chris Pratt appearing as themselves in Peacemaker season 2. And I'm not sure why somebody asked that question. I don't know if there was a lead up to it or what, but somebody asked him that question and he's like, no, I have reasons why I wouldn't want either of those actors to appear as themselves in the DC. And that's pretty much because he plans on using them as characters. So that just strikes, why would somebody ask that question? That's a weird one. So, all right, let's move on. Palm was in the Suicide Squad. Oh yeah, she was a dancer in the Suicide Squad, wasn't she? Just a tiny role. Gunn has actually decreased his social media presence, but it's still too much in my opinion. How about hire a PR person? You know what? I like James Gunn. I like his interaction with fans. I like his honesty. And I still believe he's honest. I see a lot of people out there saying that he lies. And I'm curious what he's supposed to have lied about. So I think he's getting a lot of negativity thrown at him because of the Zack Snyder thing, which I don't think is necessarily fair. I can't see what he's actually lied about. So, but I'm sure somebody will come along and try to point it out to me. All right. Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa are going to be teaming with Blue Beetle director Angel Manuel Soto for an upcoming film called The Wrecking Crew. Now, this does not have anything to do with Marvel's Wrecking Crew. Even though we did see them in She-Hulk, this isn't a spin-off movie. Though I would love to see, like, Dave Bautista as the Wrecker and Momoa as Pile Driver or something. I think that would be awesome. But anyway, this is a buddy action comedy that they have set up at MGM. Bautista and Momoa are both in talks for the film, scripted by Warrior creator Jonathan Tropper, long before the strike happened. Now, Tropper's deal was negotiated and closed, and his script submitted prior to the WGA strike began in early May. Plot details are under wraps for now, but Bautista and Momoa sold the pitch to MGM following a 4-bitter battle in the fall of 2021, as we were first, Jerry Fearson, Momoa's collaborator in the series Frontier, will produce. So, Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa in a film together. Figure says, he said The Flash is one of the best superhero movies of all time. Him lying about that would be better than him actually thinking it's one of the best. Everybody has their own opinion. There are movies I like that people hate. There are movies that people love that I hate. So I think subjective stuff like that isn't lying. It's just somebody's opinion. You can't really lie about it. I mean, it's hard to call that a lie. You may want to, but it's hard to call it a lie. I've seen some of his top movies lists. He's open about it. The Flash does not fit in those lists, from what I can see. Yeah. I agree. From what I've seen of The Flash, it's not a very good movie. He was also put in a rock and a hard place with a bunch of films that he had to still get to succeed when they have nothing to do with his vision. Basically, he was handed 4 duds or 4 films that he has nothing to do with and told to make sure they make money so they can fund the movies he wants to do. This has just been a horribly awkward situation, very poorly handled by Warner Brothers. All right, let's move on. Disney has announced finally that some of their Disney Plus exclusive series will be getting Blu-ray releases. Hey, Clayton, good to see you. And yeah, come back and watch the replay if you can't watch it right now. So they're going to release some Marvel movies series and some Star Wars series, starting with the first 2 Mandalorian seasons. And then we're going to get WandaVision and season 1 of Loki are all going to be released on a collector's edition 4K UHD and Blu-ray, along with steelbook packaging, concept art, and new bonus features. Now, Loki is set to release on September 26th, WandaVision on November 28th, and then the 2 seasons of The Mandalorian will drop on December 12th. Now, those are the first ones scheduled, but that seems kind of weird to me because Loki's the first one to come out, even though of the 3 it was the last. And the fact that they're doing Loki and WandaVision and not Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which came out in between them, seems a little strange to me. But the word we're getting is that there will be a release for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Blu-ray as well, just into the new year. So if you are somebody like me who still likes to buy physical media because you never know, these streaming services might disappear all of a sudden and you might not have access to the movies you love, having these pop up on Blu-ray is a very cool thing. So, all right, let's move on. Let's see. Ed says, I really like Shazam 2. Does that make me a liar too, just because it was hated by most? Excellent point, Ed. Figures of my overall thoughts about Gunn is that I feel sorry for him having to deal with WB. Otherwise, he rocks. I think a lot is riding on Loki season 2. That said, season 1 seemed to be generally well liked. I did enjoy it. Yeah, so did I. And I think hopefully Loki season 2 will kind of get things back on track in the fans' opinions. But there is this negativity right now that I think a lot of websites and stuff are forcibly going negative to get clicks, to get people to click on it. And when something is new, talking it up gets clicks. But when something's already popular, being negative is what gets clicks. So, they're trying to tear it down to bring up their numbers. I don't think there's as much negativity towards Marvel as it appears online. But then I think there's a lot of things online that don't really happen. I can think of a lot of things, changing a character to meet an online publicity swell and then finding out that no, people really didn't care. I've seen it on a few different cases. So, all right, moving on. In a new interview with a group called the Fast Company, Loki season 2 executive producer Kevin Wright shared what Sophia DiMartino's Sylvie did right after killing He Who Remains in season 1. And this is interesting because with the actors and the writers on strike, it's going to be the producers out there hyping this stuff because they're the only ones still under contract. So we're going to get Kevin Wright and stuff like that out there instead of, Sophia DiMartino or Tom Hiddleston. We're just going to have to get used to that until the strike's over. But Kevin said about Sylvie, this character had been on a decades-long, maybe centuries-long revenge mission. And the classic trope of the stories is that it's all-consuming and she's not thinking about what comes next. Now she has that moment of opportunity. Where is she going to go? When we stayed in the view of the character, this woman who went on this run as a child had been running through time, a fugitive of time, living in apocalypses, never being able to relax or slow down. The novelty of walking into a 1980s McDonald's looked appealing. You play a little league game and you go to McDonald's. You go to a kid's birthday party at McDonald's. Someone like Sylvie would never have experienced that and would be really taken by that. Now, they had this idea prior to actually partnering with McDonald's and actually being able to show the real restaurant in 1982. But so before it ever got into the script, they were put it in the script before they ever talked to McDonald's. And Kevin went on to say, I was worried that McDonald's would think we wanted to do something ironic or make fun of them, but we were selling an earnest story, a love letter to nostalgia through a character's eyes who will see all the novelty and joy of it. And obviously McDonald's must have bought what they were selling because they're involved now. So, all right, let's see what else we got. More, you guys know about the upcoming release of Scott Lang's autobiography, The Lookout for the Little Guy. If you've seen Quantum Mania, you know that that's a MacGuffin in the series, that he wrote a book, and it's talked about in a couple different things. Well, it turns out they really wrote the book, and it's been on pre-order for a while now, and it's going to be released soon. And the Marvel's official website has actually released an excerpt from it. And I've got it here. And it has to do with the fact, from the way Scott describes it, it was Bruce Banner and Clinton Barton who went to him, took him out to lunch one day, and asked him to write the book in the first place after the events of Avengers Endgame. So, I don't know. Maybe they don't say why. Maybe it was to have it told from a point of view of somebody who was there. but who is just an average guy anyway, so that the readers can see the heart of the heroes without it's like, oh well, that's um, the Hulk. What did he have to be afraid of? Stuff like that. So, but the excerpt says, the only thing is, it wasn't actually 100% settled for me. On the inside, from the confidence peak of having two amazing superheroes place their trust in you, there was a frighteningly steep plummet into self-doubt. Even with their sensible reasons, the whole affair just stirred up questions that's been burning inside me most of my adult life. Why me? I've been asking myself that since before I even became an Avenger. Back when I was working at VistaCorp, why was I the only one who couldn't sleep at night after learning of all the money they were stealing from customers? Why did I basically give up my job, give up my marriage, and spend 3 years in San Quentin just so I could play Robin Hood? And finally, and this one's still smart, when VistaCorp's nasty business became public to the world, why was I the only one who ended up going down for it? I don't know the answer to these questions, and perhaps I never will. Not even Doctor Strange can tell me, and believe me, it's not for lack of asking. Once the purple dust had settled from the Battle of Earth, I tried bonding with the guy. Let's just say he was either unwilling or uninterested in filling me in about any of my 14,605 possible paths. So that's kind of interesting, that he actually wanted Doctor Strange to tell him the alternatives, had he not, exposed VistaCorp or anything like that. So let's see. Ed says, people are just spoiled. If you take the worst DCU movie ever and release it in the 1970s, it would be an amazing blockbuster. It drives me nuts to see hatred for something that hasn't been released. I agree with you at 100%. I think anybody who saw Reb Brown as Captain America and then can watch the Blue Beetle, you will be impressed by Blue Beetle. Figure says, if only Quantumania was a series, that way it would have had time to breathe. I think you're right. I think they did try to put too much into that. But I still like Quantumania. But yeah, they did try to put too much into it. Could have used some more time. The Netta says, nowadays, it's a race to who can produce the best multiverse movie. The Invincible going to explore multiverse in the second season. I'm just starting to watch Invincible. I'd read all the trades, and I watched the first episode when it came out, and I just wasn't feeling it. And it might have been, I think it was shortly after my father had passed. So watching somebody's father just turn out to be evil wasn't on my plate at the time. But I've gone back and I've watched a couple episodes now, and I'm trying to catch up on it, and it's hitting me better than it did originally. So I'm looking forward to finishing it off and seeing season 2 and watching the Adam Eve special. But yeah, I'm a little burned out on multiverses. I think everybody else is too. I'd like just to see some straight linear stories again, Okay, let's see. Max's official X account, formerly Twitter, has announced the streaming debut of The Flash, which will be this Friday, August 25th. So if you haven't seen The Flash, but you have Max, you can see it. And this is kind of a rush for them, having only been 70 days since the theatrical release. So Ahsoka is releasing tonight, and it's going to be something new. Ahsoka is going to be releasing instead of in the middle of the night, so people have to wake up the next morning. It's going to release at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific tonight. And there's going to be 2 episodes. Then episode 3 is August 29th, September 5th for episode 4, the 12th for 5, 19th is episode 6, episode 7 is on the 26th, and then the finale, episode 8, is October 3rd. So we will cover Ahsoka. That'll be our Thursday show. We'll talk about the first 2 episodes. So if you get a chance, you got tonight and all day tomorrow to watch it before we talk about it on Thursday. So, and then I wanted to cover this real quick. We're actually going long on news today, but I'm seeing a lot of people negative about the amount of money that Blue Beetle made. And it's not that far off what was expected. Originally, they had the box office expected to come in between 25 and 30 million, and it came in at 25.4. So it is in that range. But you have to take into account the fact that Southern California was under a tropical storm watch for Saturday and Sunday. We didn't know, and I'm in Southern California, we didn't know when the storm was going to hit. It was going to, there was supposed to be rain starting on Saturday, then it was going to be on Sunday, and then it kept moving back and shifting east. But the early times, we were thinking it was going to come right up through Orange County, drive up the 15 and go right for Victorville. So, all the experts and the state officials were telling people to stay home, don't go out. So that's going to hurt the box office. Well, how bad of a box office hit is that? Los Angeles or Southern California has 857 theaters, and each theater brought in about $2,000 a day. Okay. Now, that was on Friday. It was closer to like 2,400. But and then Saturday, it was a little less, and Sunday was a lot less because you lost those theaters. So how much did that knock off? Well, 857 theaters is about $4 million over the weekend. So it is very possible that it could have hit the 30 million had the tropical storm not been coming in. Now, this was never supposed to make huge money. It was not supposed to be on par with The Flash and Shazam 2. It was a Max movie that got moved to the theater because they didn't want to release it on Max. And, they put a little bit more money into it. But you throw in the global box office, and it got up near 45 million. It only needs to do, I think another 100 million to break even counting the marketing. So it's not that bad of a possibility. And then you throw in home video release, stuff like that. So I don't think this was a flop like a lot of people are calling, because it was never meant to be a huge budget film. So I'm going to be curious to see what happens this weekend, because the audience score, the reviews and stuff have all been positive, and there's no huge movie opening this weekend. Everybody, most people have seen Barbie and Oppenheimer if they want to. So we're going to be getting the word of mouth on Blue Beetle. So there's a chance that people are going to go see it this weekend and do another 10, 15 million, maybe more, when you add the global. And, maybe it will catch on. Maybe it will have legs. So we'll have to see. But I wouldn't call it a flop. I'd say it's doing about expected for what it is. So, real quick, let's see. Jay says that and The Boys are the correct way to subvert expectations, in my opinion. Nita says Invincible and The Boys really recovered people from superhero fatigue. It was something new for people to look up to. Nice. Also says, where did Ahsoka name come from? In history, Ahsoka was ruler from India. I don't know. That'd be a good question for Dave Filoni. I can direct that his way, I will. Jay says, big box office doesn't equal quality movie. Again, just my opinion. Yeah, and the reviews that have been coming out, people like Blue Beetle. It's doing well, it's doing pretty well on the critic stuff. It's certified fresh, whatever. But the audience scores are really high. So Ed says, was it bad in your area, Dan? No. We got lucky because the storm kept shifting east and east, and we were already on the west side of it. So the west side of the storm was actually the weaker side. It would break up a bit and then reform as it spun. So we had a bunch of branches come down. We had a good amount of rain, but the winds never got that high, and there was no real damage other than, like I said, branches down. So overall, we did good. Figure says Elemental had legs. Yep, so maybe Blue Beetle will. So, all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to come back and talk about Season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. Be right back.
According to a statistic that I just made up, people spend 4 hours a day changing the television channel. People who watch The Experience don't do that. Save yourself a ton of time by tuning into The Experience and enjoying our new original programming 7 days a week. And then tell your friends. Think about the money they could save on batteries in the remote alone just by tuning into The Experience. Find out more by scanning the QR code below.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Please hit that like and subscribe button and tell your friends about the show. We're going to talk about Only Murders in the Building. And as you guys know, I love murder mysteries. I am geeked up for going to see the new Agatha Christie next month. I love the fact that they're doing a third one with Kenneth Branagh. I think he makes a great Hercule Poirot. You know, David Suchet is still one of the best, but I put Branagh's Poirot up there with him. And, I'm a big fan of the Glass Onion / Knives Out series. Looking forward to the third one. So, yeah, I'm a big murder mystery guy. I love them, whether they're TV shows or movies. I am all for them. And most of my writing, you'll find there's a mystery in everything I write. I mean, if it's a superhero movie or a superhero book, there's going to be a mystery at the heart of it. If it's, even there's a mystery in Karma. There's mysteries to solve. Because I think that's that's what engages readers. Give them something to figure out. And I love it. So, but Only Murders in the Building is a tough one for me. Because I think Steve Martin and Martin Short are great. Their interaction is hilarious. Selena Gomez is terrific. They've put a great cast. They keep bringing in big names. And a lot of times they bring in big names for small parts. Season 1, they had Sting. Season 2, they had Amy Schumer. And this season, it looked like they were going to bring in some big names for a small part as well. Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep. Well, I'm 4 episodes in of 10, and both of them are in it a lot more than either Sting or Amy Schumer had been combined. So, that's definitely a change. But I hate sitcoms, and this is a sitcom murder mystery. So there are moments in it that I have a hard time, and I just want to fast forward over when they're doing the sitcom-y stuff. But I don't do it as much as I would a real sitcom. So that shows how much I like the show, and the murder mystery aspect is that I actually sit through the parts that make me uncomfortable. Going into this season, though, they had done something different. They set up the murder. Well, they had done from season 1 to season 2, we ended with the murder happening and the 3 of them being arrested. And then we'd have to wait for season 2. So from that point of view, they did it again. You know, at the end of season 2, we saw the death of Ben Glenroy. The problem was he died at a theater during the opening night of a play. And the reason that's a problem is that there's a conceit in the show. They say it in the first season. They have this true crime podcast that the 3 of them do together. And the conceit is they will only cover murders that take place in the building, the Arconia. So going into season 3, we've already seen the murder, but it doesn't take place in the Arconia. So it was kind of interesting to see how they get around that. And they do it in a very interesting way. And that was the one thing bugging me, because like I said, that was the conceit of the show. You know, it would be like Quantum Leap suddenly taking away the jumping into different bodies aspect. It's like, no, that's kind of the heart of what makes this show what it is. But they also, you know, the characters' interactions with each other, the 3 main characters, and their interactions with other people, and, you know, they're changing that up again, too. In season 1, it was Selena had a relationship, and Steve Martin had a relationship. In this one, it's Martin Short and Steve. I mean, it's the relationship aspects are very funny, and they tend to play into the murder mystery. But one of the things the show does in just a brilliant way is each week they take a character and make them look guilty as hell. Just, oh my God, that's the killer. And then the next episode, you find out why that person couldn't possibly be the killer. What were you thinking? And it's obviously this person over here. They're the killer. And then the episode after that, it's not them. They have an alibi. They couldn't have done it. It's got to be that guy over there. And that's what they do. And it's really fascinating because it's almost like there's a formula that they've worked out for doing this show. And I mean, this is a series created by Steve Martin and a co-writer whose name slips my mind. It's probably right here. John Hoffman. Steve Martin and John Hoffman created this with Martin Short in mind for the 2 old guys. And they even called them the olds. You know, whenever Selena's talking to somebody else, they're like, well, where are the olds? oh, they're off doing this or they're off doing that. But this does kind of feel like it could be the final season, which is funny for a show that seemed like there's no way they could do a second season, because how many people are going to be murdered in this building? And yeah, it's a big apartment building, but how many could be murdered in a row? So the fact that they already have 3 seems pretty ridiculous. But they make sense at the same time. It's like, okay. But so I like that a lot. But the other thing they're doing this season, if you haven't watched yet, they bring in music. Yeah, it's a very rough place to live. The end of season 2, forgetting Martin Short's character's name. Got it here. Oliver Putnam, who was a director, a Broadway director, until he did a play that had a giant swimming pool, and all these people would dive off the board into the pool, and then the pool leaked and all the people died, and it was this horrible thing, and he had not worked since. He gets a new play to try, and of course, opening night there's a murder. Well, he's trying, his whole gig in this is he's trying to save his play and his chance to get back into Broadway. And so that's his focus. And in doing so, he wants to turn this outlandish murder mystery called Death Rattle about the possibility that one of 3 newborn triplets could be a serial killer. Let that sink in for a moment. And he decides how to save it is to turn it into a musical. So now it's a musical about a set of triplet newborns that one of them is probably a serial killer. Yeah. Anyway, and Steve Martin's character, Charlie, is in the production, and he's got this girl that he's dating that he's known for a long time. So the 2 of them are very distracted. And the only one really working on the murder is Selena Gomez. And so you see that this could, the whole union that they formed to make this podcast is falling apart. So, they had the first one, it worked great. They had the second one, they were kind of forced back together because they had to clear their own name. Now in the third one, they're all going their separate ways. And Selena, who doesn't seem to have anything else going on in life, is clinging to this podcast while the other 2 are drifting off. So that's the kind of stuff you've got going on in the background. And of course, Oliver wants to find the murderer, but he wants it to be somebody in the cast that they can easily replace. They don't want it to be a star. They don't want it to be someone who can sing really well. They want it to be like the makeup person that they can replace easily. So it's a pretty interesting setup. And it feels like the show has completely reinvented itself in the 3rd season, but still has all of the comedic moments and the fun murder mystery. And that's the thing, is that it does all this stuff, and it does this, season 1 had an entire episode that was done silently because it was from the point of view of a deaf character. It was brilliant. And then, they did completely different things, and they changed the point of view of each character as it goes. Each episode is usually done from a different character's point of view. So it's really fascinating how they do the show. And again, it feels like they've completely reinvented it again. So if you're not watching this, there's 4 episodes out. It's on Hulu, and they are well worth watching. But if you haven't seen the first 2 seasons, do yourself the favor, go back and watch them. Because as good as this new season is, it builds upon the other stuff, and they're well worth watching. And there's moments that you'll get even more if you watch all 3 seasons. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this season's gonna continue. It's being released once a week on Mondays, so we will come back and revisit the show after the finale. So, if you can, catch up, and we'll talk about it then. All right, we're going to take our second break, and when we come back, we got some key collectibles for you guys. Be right back.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Remember to stick around for in-stores this week, coming up at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, with Miss Jen and Kyle and Jay. So they have lots of fun books to cover. And yeah, Jay's back. So, all right, let's go through our key collectibles. And I was trying to think of what can we do, but since we're doing only Murders in the Building, it seemed like let's talk Detective Comics. And we go all the way back to the very first issue of Detective Comics with one of the most troubling covers I have ever seen. I mean, yeah. This is Detective Comics number 1 from 1937. This is the first appearance of Slam Bradley, also of Ching Lung and Speed Saunders. Now, we have seen Slam Bradley and Speed Saunders in comics continuing forward. Not so much Ching Lung. Just saying. This goes for $180,000 on the high end, $66,000 on the median, $18,000 on the low end. issue 2, I believe that's the first appearance of Captain Nelson. I think that's him on the cover. This is Detective Comics number 4 from 1937. This one goes for 17,000. Median is 6,400. Low end is 1,700. They were just cranking out these new detectives and stuff. But in Detective Comics number 15, it's probably most famous for the fact that it had a full-page interior ad for this little book called Action Comics number 1. This goes for 9,400 on the high end, 3,600 on the median, and 1,200 on the low end. Detective Comics number 17. Now, this is when DC got the rights to do books with Fu Manchu, another complicated character. This one goes for 8,100 on the high end, 3,100 on the median, and 1,000 on the low end. And then we get to Detective Comics number 20, and this is the first appearance of the Crimson Avenger in Wing. And the Crimson Avenger has appeared. He's kind of a knockoff of the Shadow, but he's a cool character. And like I said, he's appeared in the mainstream DC Comics since then. High end on this is 16,000. Median is 5,800. And the low end is 1,600. From there, we go to Detective Comics number 26. This has a teaser ad for this little character they're calling Batman, who's going to appear in the next issue. And the high end on this is 12,000, median's 3,000, low end is 1,000. And of course, this guy, Batman. Detective Comics number 27 from 1939, first appearance of Batman. This goes for 2.2 million. So if you got a copy, you're doing fine. Median price is 890,000. Low end price is 250,000. That is for the worst copy you could find. Ungraded, just somebody had it at the bottom of their bird cage, is still going to go for 250,000. So Detective Comics number 29. Now this is the first appearance of Dr. Death, who has the privilege of being the first ever Batman villain. This goes for 245,000. Median price is 86,500. Low end price is still 17,000. Detective Comics number 31. This is the first appearance of the Monk, who is technically Batman's first costumed enemy, because Dr. Death just wore a doctor's outfit. He went to school to get his doctorate. That wasn't just a costume. He actually earned that. So first appearance of the Monk goes for 410,000. Median's 140,000. Low end is $53,000. And then we have Detective Comics number 33. And this is important because it's the first appearance of Joe Chill and the first time we get to see the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, who have to be the most killed characters in comics, followed closely by Uncle Ben. We have seen the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne more in comics, in TV, in pop culture of all kinds. It is just death. It's like death porn at this point. And seeing the pearls roll across the alleyway in Crime Alley, it is absolutely horrible how often we've seen these people killed. High end on this is $260,000. Median is 77,000. Low end is 22,000. So that is our first batch. I think when we come back and do more of Only Murders, I'll do the next level. This was through 37 through 39. We'll do more Detective Comics later on when we come back with more Only Murders in the Building. So, all right. So that is that for today. I got a few ideas for tomorrow, but I haven't locked in yet. So we'll see what we do tomorrow. But Thursday, we will definitely be talking Ahsoka. So there will be spoilers for the series. I've seen a couple reviews coming in on Ahsoka, and they've been really positive. So I am looking forward to turning that on tonight and getting my Star Wars fix. So, plus, last chance to see the late Ray Stevenson, who passed away after filming the series, and who, again, another way too young. So yeah, we're gonna start and end the day with talks of actors that we have lost recently. But yeah, Ray Stevenson passed away, and this will be his last performance. So. But Ahsoka looks good, and the reviews are coming in good. So get a chance to watch it, and we will talk about it on Thursday, and we'll have something for tomorrow. So stick around. In stores this week starts in about an hour, and then Mindhunter tonight. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.